Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. I see here today that IKEA are cutting sick pay for unjabbed staff. I've had a few people contact me and ask me to cover this. As can be seen here, IKEA cuts sick pay for unvaccinated staff forced to self-isolate. Again, it's discriminatory, it's divide and conquer, it's segregating people based on medical choices, penalising perfectly healthy people who just, don't wish to comply. This has happened before in the USA. I'm sure another company has done this in the UK as well. And well, what's next? Fire the staff? Fire the staff that are unjabbed? I'm sure that's the next step, although as I've said before, if you have a contract with your employer, then they will be breaking the law. Never quit your job. Never allow these tyrants to push you out. Get them to shoot first, and then you have them legally over a barrel. And this is just another symbol of corruption in a corrupt system. And the only way to beat this is for the people, the managers in these jobs, to stand against it. When the majority of the public are vacuous, morally, empty vessels who have been brainwashed over decades and decades, who don't realise they are sovereign beings, that they are independent bodies who have their own free will, who have unfortunately been conditioned to pay tax, road tax, council tax, income tax, inheritance tax, to a bunch of people who have just decided that they can just take this from you, a bunch of people who claim that they have the right to steal money from you, from the product of your labour. All tax, in my opinion, should be voluntary. Voluntary tax, not forced tax. Forced tax is stealing. Stealing is initiating harm upon another person and creates a crappy society who have no values, because if the state, the ones in power, are stealing from you, then what kind of influence is that on society? I'll talk about that more another day, but this is the problem. The majority of the population, they need to awaken. If anything is going to change, they need to realise that they were slaves before this started. And all of this, the digital passports now, the social credit system now, the 24/7 monitoring that they want to bring in, the 5G everywhere to track everyone and God knows what else, cashless society. And this is all purely to make you much, much more of a slave, okay? If you were a slave before because of taxation making you a slave, because you were threatened with fines and physical harm, as in restrictions to your freedom, imprisonment for not paying tax, which effectively means individuals are forced to work to enrich the government, and of course the government work with the banks to create mortgages then and artificially increase the house prices in order to get people to work till death, paying off their mortgage, whilst at the same time simultaneously taxing you every week you work up until that day. That's the slave system we were all in and are still all in. And they are now planning on putting us into slave system Mark II, which is far worse, far more restrictive, controlling what you eat, how much energy you use, how far you can travel, who you can see, where you can go, how much money you can spend, or whether you can access money at all, whilst controlling your free will with social engineering, social credit systems. Now that's total control, total slavery. Why chain you up when people are electing to do it to themselves by downloading an app? Okay, that's the problem. And the majority of the people don't realise this. They don't understand how they have been conditioned to accept this shite. And also these people who work in IKEA or work in, say, a care home, these managers who are telling their staff that you have to do this or we will fire you, or make you work downstairs in the basement, redeploy you because you haven't had the jab, while saying on camera, in tears, saying, "Oh, it's so terrible having to tell the staff who have been here for years, having to tell them to go. It's so upsetting. But what can I do? I'm just following orders. I'm just doing what I've been told." You the problem. You're the problem. You are the main problem. While the media get people to focus on the puppet tyrants, they are effectively They're just one person speaking into a microphone. Nobody has to follow their orders. Nobody has to enforce them. It's the order followers that are enforcing and empowering the misery and the darkness. These shallow, weak cowards are the problem. They don't realize that it is they who are going to bear the brunt of the natural consequence of their actions. I'm just following orders is passing the buck. If you're a manager at IKEA, you don't have to obey these rules. You have a moral right to yourself. I don't give a shite if you lose your job. Stand up for what is right. Otherwise, you will suffer the consequences of your actions. And that goes for policemen, doctors, nurses, managers of care homes. You have a moral right to stand against what is so obviously wrong. You know it's wrong. Following orders doesn't help you escape the unescapable consequence of you doing wrong. And doing wrong is when your actions harm someone else. You want to pretend otherwise. You want to believe you're just following orders. It's nothing to do with me. Oh, my hands are tied. No, they're not. You have free will. You can say no. No, I'm not going to be party to something that is wrong. So to all you managers and bosses, remember, when this comes down the line, you cannot escape the moral responsibility that you have to choose between right and wrong. It is inherent. Ignorance is not an excuse. You reap what you sow. These puppet tyrants, they want you to do the dirty work for them. And guess who gets most dirty from doing the dirty work? It's you. As always, thanks for listening. Come and subscribe to the tribe at hugotalks.com, a place for like-minded souls who don't follow the crowd.